starts now with breaking news.
And we begin tonight with an American first, the felony conviction of a former American president.
Donald Trump convicted on all 34 counts falsifying business records with the intent to influence the 2016 presidential election. Welcome into Action News at 11. We have team coverage of the historic conviction of former President Donald Trump.
A reaction and what to expect going forward. Now less than 6 months until the 2024 presidential election. We begin with the emotional chain of events that played out in a Manhattan courtroom earlier today. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
Donald Trump waving and fist pumping to supporters at Trump Tower, but he is now the first president in U.S. history to be convicted of a crime. A jury of 12 New Yorkers finding him guilty as charged on all 34 counts of falsifying business records. It was a dramatic shift in the courtroom. First, the judge announcing he was sending the jury home for the day. But then the jury said they'd reached a verdict. Trump went from joking with his attorney to motionless and stone-faced. The foreperson reading the verdict aloud, saying guilty 34 times, count after count. At one point, Trump shaking his head, speaking outside the courtroom next to his defense attorney, Todd Blanche.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Trump denying any wrongdoing.
We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay.
But right outside the Manhattan courthouse, cheers as word of conviction spread. And the man who brought the case, the Manhattan district attorney, in court when the verdict was read.
Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor. And that's exactly what we did here.
The trial lasted 7 weeks with 22 witnesses, including Trump's former fixer and lawyer Michael Cohen. Trump's defense calling him the greatest liar of all time. Cohen saying in a statement, "Today is an important day for accountability and the rule of law. While it has been a difficult journey for me and my family, the truth always matters."
And Trump's sentencing is set for July 11th, just 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And reaction is pouring into the guilty verdict really across the country and here at home.
And no surprise, a lot of differing opinions. 13 Action News reporter Carly Petras joins us live with reaction. Carly.
Well, Lee and Christian, I went to several grocery stores, gas stations. This verdict is truly the talk of the town. But when I pulled out the camera, it was a different story. Here's what we were able to come up with.
Former President Trump found guilty today on 34 counts of falsifying business records to influence the 2016 presidential election. It's sparking conversations locally.
I trust the government even less and less to do something like this.
Be it a Democrat, Republican, whatever, it's not good for the country.
And nationally, protesters gathering outside the Manhattan courthouse to express shock and relief.
Guilty! Guilty! What goes on?
But how or will this decision made by 12 jurors today in New York impact the decisions of voters come November? Here's University of Toledo political science professor Sam Nelson.
Voters of both parties will rationalize their vote choices pretty easily. But for undecided voters, for independents, for people who are just kind of starting to think about the presidential election now, or might not start thinking about it until the summer, I think it might have an effect on how they evaluate the candidates, how they look at things, evaluate Donald Trump's account of his own events. Now that he's been convicted, as a matter of law, there are facts to look at. It's not just somebody said this, somebody said that, somebody's alleging something. There's a conviction now.
As for the voters we spoke with,
I'm wondering if it impacts your vote in November.
No, it won't. He wouldn't have gotten my vote anyway, so.
Does it change the way you're going to vote at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, it's made me more supportive of Trump, if anything.
Carly Petras reporting now. Election Day, November 5th, is less than 6 months from now, and we're less than a month away from the first presidential debate, June 27th. That'll be in Atlanta. More insight now on what could happen leading up to those important dates from 13 Action News political analyst Dr. Melissa Miller of Bowling Green State University. Certainly expect the former president, his defense team to appeal. How long would the process work? How long will it take going forward? Any chance it could be wrapped up by November?
Basically, not a chance. That appeals process is weeks or most likely months. Okay. So it'll be tied up in the courts for months. That process is going to go through the New York State court system first, because, of course, this was a state trial court decision. It would have to go to the New York appellate court level. And then if Trump loses there, would almost certainly appeal to the highest court in the state of New York, which is the Supreme Court of the state. And if the Trump then loses there, then he could appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. We're talking months.
If Donald Trump wins the White House, can he pardon himself?
The answer to that question is yes. There's nothing in the Constitution that prevents the president from using his or her pardon power to pardon himself. It would likely be challenged. But again, if we look to the Constitution, I don't think the founders envisioned this. And there's nothing in the Constitution that would preclude the president from pardoning himself. Again, it would likely face a legal challenge.
Dr. Miller, first debate is a month away. What will that look like? How will the Biden team, President Biden, address the conviction of Donald Trump as they face off one-on-one?
Yeah, there will be no avoiding the question that will surely be posed to both Donald Trump and Joe Biden about these convictions. And so the Biden team definitely has to figure out how they're going to handle this. And it's really a delicate question. There's no historical precedent for it. And I think the Biden team needs to realize that they don't want to do probably more harm than good. They want to have a concise answer, but not appear to be capitalizing on it. So the Biden team is going to have to figure this out in the next few days, but certainly by that first presidential debate.
Dr. Melissa